If I may have your attention, please, if I could ask everyone to please be seated. At this time, we're going to begin the services here in our chapel for Sheila Diane Hendrickson. As we begin the service, I would ask if any of you has a cell phone or any other noise-making device, please turn them off at this time. Officiating the service here today is Rabbi Michael Tillman, and the rabbi will begin the service assisting the family in the ancient tradition of Kriya. If I could ask the two family members wearing ribbons to stand together at this time.
A very long time ago, more than 30 years ago, when I was young and studying at the Rabbinical Academy, I had a teacher. He was a fascinating man. He lived a long life. He passed away when he was almost 100 years of age. Fell short by a couple of weeks of that remarkable accomplishment. But his accomplishment was not only in the length of his days. Dr. Marcus, Jacob Rader Marcus was his name. He was a prominent historian. In fact, he wrote the very first book on the history of the American Jews. So he basically single-handedly founded the entire field of historical science. He was 98 and a half when he taught me. But very sharp, clear mind. A very brilliant man. Very irreverent, politically incorrect and all that, but that's typical for guys like him. So one time, in the class, we were discussing funerals, memorial services. And he told me something that I found to be astounding. Dr. Marcus said, remember, 5 minutes must be enough to say everything important about anyone. And I was young, so like many young people, I perceived death rather dramatically. So I couldn't understand, how can, we experienced the loss. Somebody dear to us passed away, and you're talking about 5 minutes, right? But when I started practicing as a rabbi, I realized that he knew what he was talking about. 5 years after that conversation, I was already here in Chicago, to be more precise, in Skokie, right by Skokie Swift, sitting in the house of the family. Their father passed away, 2 sons. And I quoted my teacher. And one of the sons told me, he said, I told him, 5 minutes and all that. And the son said, Rabbi, but this is so sad. I said, what's so sad? He said, the entire human life in only 5 minutes. And I replied without thinking. Just, came out by itself automatically. I said, okay, what good is a book if you can't tell me what the book is about? You read the book. You should be able to tell me in 5 minutes what that book is about. You see, life is a book. Like any book, it has the beginning. Like any book, it has the ending. And there are chapters in that book. And there are all kinds of things in that book. There are good things, and yes, there are painful things. That's the nature of human existence. Any good book will have that. But when we get together, when we gather to commemorate people whom we love, but whom unfortunately lost, it is not only about the pain of loss. It is about the pain of loss today, especially for Lori and Stacy and the family. They lost a mother, grandmother, mother-in-law. So yes, it is a very painful day for you, yes. But today is not only about the pain of loss, today is also about that book of life that Sheila has written for us. Because that one cannot be taken away. The angel of death, we call him Malach HaMavet in Hebrew, the angel of death has the power only in the realm of the physical. In the realm of the spiritual, he is powerless. because that book, Sheila's book, nobody can take away. And those of you who knew Sheila personally, I'm sure you would know that in her book, there's nothing exotic or extravagant. Not really. That wasn't her. But it is a very good and a meaningful book. Sheila had her mission in this world. She defined her priorities. She understood things that truly matter, and she understood things that matter to some people but really are not that significant, are really not that important. And that is why her book is beautiful, wonderful, and truly inspiring. In our tradition, we always recite Psalms when we gather together for a funeral. And while we know we recite them, the question arises, why? Why do we need to recite Psalms? I mean, they're not really sad. Psalms are not sad. It's a collection of devotional poetry. And while it is true that many of these Psalms were composed at the time of a personal crisis or even at the time of loss, they all univocally affirm one of the same idea. One of the same idea, that God is the source of our strength even on the darkest and most painful day of our lives. But that, my friends, is not a metaphor or a nice thing to say. That is a very specific idea that has a very particular manifestation in this world. God's support can only manifest itself through our support of one another. Because God is not in heaven. God is not inside of us. God is in a relationship between human beings. It is mutual support, positive energy in a relationship. That's what the divine presence is. And Sheila probably did not read Martin Buber, who formulated that concept, a great German Jewish philosopher, but she lived that way. Her friendships, her love, I mean, that's really what Sheila was all about. It is through her relationship with others that the divine presence in this world manifested itself. So, Psalm 23, attributed to King David. Mizmor LeDavid. Adonai roi lo yachsar, b'not deshi yarbetzeni, b'minuchot yanachalei, nafshi yeshuvev, yanheni b'maglei tzedek lema'an shmo. Gam ke'elach begei tzalmavet lo yirara, כי אתה עמדי, שבתך משנתי המה נחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רעביה, אך טוב והסת ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. You have the translation of the psalm in your booklet, so feel free to join me if you wish. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, thou walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I will feel no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Sheila's soul is now with the Almighty One. She is now in heaven. She is now reunited with her beloved father Louis, alav shalom, whose memory she always cherished. Many of you know, knew personally, she lost Louis, she lost her father when she was 13, and throughout her lifetime she never forgot him. She always loved him and cherished his memory. Other loved ones. In our tradition, we believe that our loved ones who departed, they are in heaven, petitioning God on our behalf, so that we here on earth would live well. And by well, I mean would live the right way. Live like a human being is supposed to live. But Sheila will also remain a living presence in this world, in our hearts, our minds. So let us reflect on the book of life that Sheila has written for us. She comes from a very interesting, unique community in Chicago, from the South Side. The Jewish South Side is different. It's not your North Side. It's not your West Side. South Siders are different. They're very proud to be the South Siders. Very proud to be. And so she was proud of that too. Went to Bowen High School. Oh, I know when she was born. I know the year when she was born, but not going to discuss that. She was a lady, so, you know. Right? I always say, it's my line, so I can repeat it as much as I want. It's my line. So I always say, women do not age, and men never grow up. So, right, guys? Yeah. We'll just Got to be honest about that. So Sheila went to attended University of Illinois Chicago, acquired a degree in English, that is, and then she worked throughout her lifetime as an executive administrative assistant for a number of companies, most notably Searle. When Lori and Stacia told me about Searle, I was kind of a little bit perplexed. I never heard of it. It became Monsanto later on. So she was with Searle for about 20 years and a few years with Monsanto. Then last position that she held prior to her retirement in 2008 was at Discover. So Sheila was a hard worker because, see, women usually have two jobs. One is that you live for in the morning. Another one is when you come home from work, because you got to take care of the family, right? Got to make sure that the children are good, that there's food on the table, that the family home is a safe and pleasant and warm environment, and you do your best to make that happen. That's a job in its own right, and she worked hard throughout her life. Sheila was a person who didn't need fancy things to make her happy. And that was so wise, so wise. And again, she didn't read it in a book. It's just how she lived, how she defined herself. And think about it. So what if you are able to buy Maserati? You can afford it. Great, wonderful, that's good for you. How much better will your life become because of that? Maybe a little bit, but not by much. Or you buy a mansion by the lake in Kenilworth, great. How much meaningful your life is going to be? But maybe a little bit. And you'll be proud of yourself, great. You have the reasons to be, you're successful. But is it going to be more meaningful? No, I don't think so. Honestly, I don't. Those are quantitative things. They have nothing to do with the quality and the meaning of life. Now, what if you have a friend, a lifelong friend, who will do anything for you and you do anything for him, for her? Now, that's the meaning of life. Now, Sheila was a phenomenal friend. There are some of you who are lifelong friends, some from junior high. Now that is what defines the meaning of life. That is what I was talking about when I mentioned the divine presence in the relationship between human beings. And spending time with friends, it makes your spirit elevated. It makes you feel good about life. This is how make it meaningful. And you make your friends' lives better. You make your life better. And Sheila loved going out with friends, for lunch, for dinner. So I suppose her kitchen was always clean. Well, again, that's how she lived. Nobody went hungry, don't worry about that. She loved talking to friends, and one of her hobbies, when I asked Stacia, what were her hobbies? They said, well, not hobbies, but she would spend hours on the phone with her friends, hours. That was a hobby. And again, it was just a joyous conversation about everything and anything, about what ladies talk about, right? And that's what made life beautiful. Now, she used to have a dog whose name was Snickers. She loved the dog. I mean, dogs are good, because you see, dogs will never lie to you. And when you come home, dog is honest about being happy to see you. So yeah, there's a lot to love. And she loved Snickers. Oh, Snickers is long gone, right? Yeah, long gone. Yeah. And again, she didn't need anything fancy in her life, but she liked her TV shows, like we all do. We all like to watch. Well, young people don't watch TV anymore, but we old people watch TV. Judge Judy, that was serious. No, that was a series, but she made sure she has time to watch that. Right? In fact, I doubt she would like to be interrupted during that show. No, she needs to watch it right from the beginning to anything that's crime show. America's Most Wanted, whatever is about crime. That was kind of what she enjoyed doing. But also musicals and plays, whatever. Now, long car rides, long car trips, going boating with friends. On Lake Geneva, Fox Lake were primary. So not Lake Michigan, not the big one, but the small ones. So just simply having a good time with people who were dear to her. And that is what defined Sheila. Now, the core of her being, the core of her existence, of course, was her family. As I mentioned, she was a loving daughter, loved her parents very much, and she was blessed with wonderful daughters herself, Laura and Stacy. It is a duty of every parent to raise a good kid. When our children grow up and they find success in life, we're proud, and quite rightly so. But my mission as a parent is only accomplished when there is a moment and I can say to myself, my daughter grew up to be a good person. That's when I accomplished my mission. And Sheila was rightfully proud of Lori and Stacy. She raised two wonderful daughters. Lori is married to Brad and Stacy is married to Jim, and they both were very dear to Sheila's heart. And she adored, I'm quoting the ladies, I'm quoting her daughters, she adored her grandsons, Joy and Jack. They're both 10, incidentally, which is fascinating, really. Two sisters. So she truly loved her family. I also would like to acknowledge the fact that Sheila had a respectful relationship with Eric, who is the father of her daughters, father of her children. So yes, I know I went beyond 5 minutes, but it's because I'm a rabbi. Rabbis never stop talking. But what matters is this, my friends. Sheila's book is truly beautiful and profound because we find in that book things that matter the most in this world, things without which life has no meaning. That's family, it's friends, making people's lives better, and making this world better by just doing an honest job, honest work, whatever your vocation is. So today we thank Sheila for all that was beautiful and priceless in her life. We also acknowledge that today signifies the end of the journey, which was a difficult one for the last 3 years of family's life. And we know that God will receive Sheila's soul with love and compassion. But here on earth, she will always continue to live because the book of her life will always serve as the source of pride, joy, and inspiration to all of us. So may Sheila's memory be a blessing upon all of us. Let us honor Sheila's memory with a moment of silence. Please rise, and the memorial prayers will follow. אל מלא רחמים שוכם במרומים, אמצע מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים מוטורים כזער הרקיעים מזהירים, את נשמת שילה שהלכה לעולמה, בעל הרחמים יסתרע בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, וצור בצור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן. God full of mercy, who dwells in the heights, provide a sure rest upon the divine presence's wings, within the range of the holy, pure, and glorious, who shine and resemble the skies, to the soul of our beloved Sheila. The Master of mercy will protect her forever and will bind her soul in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. Let us all say, Amen. My friends, we always say Kaddish when we commemorate our loved ones. And while you all know that Kaddish is the memorial prayer in Judaism, I would like to remind you that as a prayer, Kaddish is not about death. Kaddish is a hymn of praise to God, and therefore it is a hymn of praise to life itself. So today we shall honor Sheila's life. We shall honor the book of her life with the sacred words of our ancient prayer. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah bi'alma divrach rute v'yamlich malchute b'hayachon u'v'yom yachon u'v'chayei dachol beit Israel ba'agala u'v'zman karev v'yimru Amen. Yesh shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei gudsha brechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'yimru Amen. Yesh lam rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. May Sheila's memory always live in our hearts. May we be worthy of her memory. May her memory be a blessing upon all of us. Amen. You may be seated, my dear friends.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
This concludes the service here in our chapel. The family will be hosting a Shiva immediately and concluding at 4 p.m. in Chapel D, which is right across the lobby. The interment will be private. I'd like you to please take note on the inside of the funeral service folder, and for those of you watching online, this information is on the website you're currently on. The family has asked that memorial contributions be made to the Alzheimer's Association. And that information is listed as well. There's also a QR code where you can send a personal message to the family if you wish. I want to thank those of you that have attended today and thank those that are on live stream. I would ask, in a moment, the casket is going to be removed from the chapel and the family will